Welcome to the Kop TV, the voice of football's most famous stand.
Right, hello there everyone, welcome back to the Kop TV, and I am your boy James. I am joined by me girl Ruby. How are we, Ruby?
I'm alright, a lot better than last time.
Chilling, yeah? Chilling, yeah? Nah, things that you love to see. It's not Alex on the show today, it's not Alex hosting the show today, it is your boy James, so hopefully I'll be an adequate replacement in the meantime, but don't you worry about it, me and Ruby, I'm sure we'll do just fine. And another win to talk about as well, which is always marvellous. It's just great, isn't it? A win, a clean sheet against Norwich, so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about quite a few other things. But, Ruby, the first thing that I do want to talk about is the Norwich game. I feel like we should just get right into it. Before we do, though, be sure to smash it like, subscribe as well, if you haven't. Subscribe to the Kop TV and all that good business. Liverpool 3, Norwich 0, away from home. Ruby, we can't ask for much more. League Cup win. A competition that I'm sure you want to take serious as I want to take serious. Just to sum it up, how did you feel about that game?
To be honest, I didn't actually watch the full game. I watched the first half just because I had work to do. And big up my best mate. She made me clean my room. So, yeah.
Every single time.
Every single time. Took us 4.5 hours, but we moved. Yeah, to be honest, I think the boys just done well because it's obviously with that, when it's that competition, we always use the up-and-coming players. We always use academy players. We try and give them some first team minutes. And I think obviously there was errors, but all in all, we come out with 3 goals. Whether it was more or less the first team players scoring them.
Yeah.
There was only, 3 first team players on? 4.
In terms of who regularly starts, you're probably looking at near enough no one who starts every single game. Like, there was definitely...
You only say Robbo and Gomez, that's it.
Even Robbo, he didn't start, did he? It was more Shimikas who started the actual game itself. Robbo ended up coming onto the pitch. And I just think to myself, when you... Because, Ruby, one thing that's made out about Liverpool this season is our squad depth. And this is something that I've got to talk about. We've had 3 games in a row now against AC Milan, Crystal Palace, which we're also going to touch on, and then Norwich City in the Cup. Yeah. Every single game we've rotated, and we've got away with it. We've got away with it. We've won the games, and that's the number one thing that people have said. Is the squad depth of Liverpool Football Club going to be good enough to carry them over in certain competitions? And I think so far it has.
I think so far it has, but then you've also got to take into consideration the different calibre of each of them competitions. Because obviously the Prem is so different than the Champions League, and just the Champions League is just a different ball game as a whole. Obviously, you'll know because we went to both of them games. And then Norwich is a different ball game. I was very surprised, I will say, to see Billy that he went there.
Billy Gilmour?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I actually think it's a good little move for Billy Gilmour, you know what I mean? He's not going to get game time.
I was surprised though. I think it's very good for him to get some first team minutes in Norwich. Whether people coming out and saying that he's too good for Norwich and stuff like that, but
probably is, but he's not going to get any game time at Chelsea, is he? So it's just one of them things. I thought, do you know, if we were going to loan out, let's say, like Nico Williams or someone like that, Norwich wouldn't be a bad place, you know what I mean? Because they're expected to get relegated anyway. Exactly. So they're expected to get relegated anyway. You need enough guaranteed game time. So no, 100% agree. To touch also again on the game, just a few standout performances. The Japanese Messi, Samurai in Taki Minamino. Oh my God, what a fucking G. Do you know this guy yet, Ruby? I'm not a big fan of Taki Minamino. I'm not a big fan of him. Like, honestly, a lot of the time I watch him, he frustrates me. I feel like he does a lot of things wrong. But you know what Taki Minamino needs to do? He needs to score goals as a backup forward for Liverpool Football Club. And people in the chat, let me know what you think. But like, as a backup forward for Liverpool Football Club, your job is to score goals. If you score goals, you're doing your job and you're making every penny of that 7.5 million, I think it was, when we bought him, worth it. I only expect Taki to score goals. I don't expect you to look like the best player on the pitch. Against Norwich, I thought he was the best player on the pitch. And I just think to myself, with the lack of squad depth options and everything else in between, Taki Minamino stepped up yesterday, and that's exactly what we needed from him.
Yeah. As much as we have switched our squad, like I spoke about, as much as we've switched, I think it's just masses. Like, we have got the depth.
It's important. Like, the depth isn't as strong as a Chelsea. It's not as strong as a City, but it's still being overlooked by people, I think. You know what I mean? It's not as bad as what we all thought.
110%.
Nah, Taki Minamino was boss, man. Made up with our
second goal he scored where the ball was basically behind him.
Joke.
How much strength.
Joke. That's why I'm calling him the Japanese Messi. Japanese
Still
Messi.
get that in.
Settings. Japanese Messi settings, like. Nah, Taki's boss. Another player that I want to touch on, because there was a few youngsters who started against Norwich City as well. You had Kate Gordon, you also had Connor Bradley, and then you had Tyler Morton coming on off the bench as well. And I've got to say, Ruby, I was impressed with all of them. Even Connor Bradley, who gave away a penalty and whatnot. Yeah. I thought the penalty. It was a silly penalty, but at the same time, you know, for someone with that inexperience, I looked at that situation because the player had a free chance on goal. So it's either you just leave him and you give him a free shot, or you do what you can to try and get the ball. And he done what he could to try and get the ball. It didn't work out. It weren't the smartest decision for sure. But at the end of the day, it was going to be a lose-lose anyway. So I thought, otherwise, he actually near enough had a perfect game. I thought going forward, Connor Bradley was very solid. But defensively, he's very good. And again, people in the chat, please do correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that was a solid performance from what we expect from a backup right back. Milner was obviously sick before the game as well, so impressed with him. But Kate Gordon, he was the one who was the talk of the town going into the game, because he's our sort of, you know, you've got Harvey Elliott, you've got Curtis Jones, but our main youngster right now seems to be Kate Gordon, and I was impressed, honestly, Ruby. I think this Kate Gordon, he's a problemo, and there's a reason why he's one of the best wonder kids in the country. He's the 5th youngest player to now play for Liverpool Football Club, and he came on physically, was sound, and he also had a few chances.
There was a few times though that I seen it was not selfishness but hesitation, and he could have had a good few goes. Yeah. I think the one coming to mind specifically is when Curtis was on the run and Cade was on the edge of the 6-yard box, and there was literally everyone from Norwich. I
actually know what you're on about, yeah.
And he just never, and then it ended up going out for like a cross or a goal kick or something like that. But that would have literally been another goal, because he could have hit it anywhere 100%. At the goal and it would have went in. Yeah.
But do you reckon with time, more experience, I think that's his debut for Liverpool in terms of a first game. Do you see potential there?
100%. And I think even if we do loan him out at some point during this season, next season, whatever, it's just minutes in his tank to build him up to being able to play that first team football.
Yeah.
Because it is obviously such a jump going from academy to first team.
And people forget as well, people probably think he's came all the way through the youth academy. Not the case. He joined from Derby County in February, so he's still new to the club. And at the end of the day,
he's still getting this recognition.
He's still getting the recognition. And I think training with Mo Salah, training with Mane and all these players, that's nothing but beneficial to a young player such as Kate Gordon and all the rest of them.
100%.
I thought he was sound. Not perfect, not 10 out of 10. But listen, against Premier League opposition on, I think, what was his debut, then I cannot complain about that performance in the slippery slightest. And I'll say that for all the youngsters. I also want to touch on Tyler Morton. The slippery slightest. That's one of my many weird phrases. Tyler Morton, I've got to talk about as well. Honestly, when he came onto the pitch, and again, he only played 45 minutes of football, came on for Naby Keita, of course. I have never... It's weird. I'm not going to be like, I've never saw a player play like that, because of course I have, but I mean, the way no one's really heard about him, the way no one really talks about Tyler Morton, he's just sort of came out of nowhere like John Cena, and then he comes onto the pitch, he just eloquently does his job that he needs to do, and there's many aspects to his game that I thought was really impressive. Passing wise, I thought he was very solid. Reading the game defensively, honestly, Tyler Morton for me really impressed me, and I actually thought, even though he got the shortest out of all the youngsters, thought he was the best one.
I can't even touch on that, to be honest, because like I said, didn't see the whole game.
Yeah, true.
But,
and it was one of them. You would have needed to watch him. But honestly, keep an eye out on Tyler Morton, Ruby.
I've watched like 5 of the highlights, from different accounts because they show slightly different things.
Yeah.
But to be honest, they more or less only showed the goals in the pen.
Well, honestly, Ruby, I really do recommend that you keep an eye out on Tyler Morton because he looks like a serious little player, to be dead honest with you. I want to make sure that I give everyone the respect that they absolutely deserve when it comes to this Norwich game. We also started Joe Gomez and man like Ibu Kanate. Oh my goodness. Do you know the fact, last season we have Reece Williams and Nat Phillips as our backup centre-back. Like now, they're proper options. And I'm not going to lie, they are both fucking class. Joe Gomez did a big, massive job that he absolutely had to do. One that comes to mind is when the Irish Iker Casillas in Kelleher made a very solid penalty save, and then Joe Gomez had to do the dirty work after it, cleaning up all the scraps and whatnot. Very, very good work. Obviously, Joe Gomez was the captain as well. So I think to go out there, lead as an example. On top of that, lead the back line very well, look very good doing it, boss. But you know who really stood out for me? Kanate. When you talk about an overall 90-minute performance, when you talk about the high line that Liverpool play and the fact Kanate has got so much pace to deal with the high line, I just think to myself, do you know what, mate? I couldn't be more impressed with my centre-back options, and I just...
You know what? I thought that in the Palace game. I thought he was absolutely brilliant in the Palace game.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. I mean, we'll touch on the Palace game as well. What's your first impressions been of Kanate so far? Because any centre-back can come in and look decent, but it's the specific things that you've took away from his game and you've thought, you know what, he can be a proper player for us.
I think he's got a mixture, for me, of both the positives of Verge and Gomez. So to me, he's got like the strength of Verge, but then he's got the speed and the kind of pushing up awareness as Gomez. Because, we've spoke about it before, the way Gomez does them runs through just right up the pitch, and it's like no one can go near him. I've seen Kanate do that a good few times in the Palace game. And Gomez is actually one of the fastest players on our squad. Yeah. And I feel like you say, Kanate's got the speed to deal with that. And you never really see Verge put a leg forward like that because he doesn't really need to. But I think having just that speed as a main centre-back as well, it's another safeguard.
Yeah, I can only agree with absolutely everything that you've just said from what Kanate has done so far. And the thing is, I'm not expecting him to come in and look like Verge straight away. Of course I'm not. But there's nothing bad about strengthening up the options in that position at centre-back, which we absolutely had to do. There's nothing wrong with getting someone who's young and has got bags of potential to fill in that role. And also someone who suits our system. He suits the high line. Kanate is a very quick player. I've already saw it. And I just think, you touched on the Crystal Palace game there. So far, first impressions, I have got zero problems with Kanate, I swear down. Like I said, I'm not trying to make out like he's the perfect centre-back. I don't think he's better than Matip, and that's because I rate Matip very, very highly. But at the end of the day, when you talk about a job that you just absolutely have to do, Kanate's doing that and more. 2 games, 2 clean sheets, if I'm not mistaken. And that's with a rotator back 4. That's with Shimikas coming in. Who played right back? We played Conor Bradley against Norwich City. So it's not like he's coming into first team back 4s either. There's changes being made, and he's still getting the job done. Ruby, can I say someone to be excited about, mate? And I think he's someone that we need to watch out for. Someone that we need to watch out for.
I don't know why I keep saying 100%. It's really doing my head in, but apparently
you need to change it to 110%. You know what I mean? Make it a little bit.
I've said that once.
Well, we can say 120% just for shits and giggles. just for shits and giggles. What?
I'm doing my own head in.
It's right. Doing my own head in. Imagine that. Imagine annoying yourself that much that you're doing your own fucking head in. I do my head in all the time. Another player that, because we're kind of going through the team and we're dissecting it down, because it's important to break it down in this way, because again, Liverpool squad depth is something that's been heavily talked about. Oxlade-Chamberlain, I thought he had a bit of a, again, you've let me know that you never watched the full game, and that's fair enough, but I think if you did watch the full game, you probably would have had a similar gauge of Oxlade-Chamberlain performances as I did, and it was the fact that it just was slow, a few balls were misplaced, and I don't know, he just didn't feel like he looked right in the team. There was talk that he was going to be playing false nine a lot this season. That hasn't really seemed to be the case. He played midfield yesterday, and even though he got the assist for, I think, the last goal, other than that, Ruby, he just didn't do much. And this is going to lead me to the question, what is Oxlade-Chamberlain's position at the club for you? Do you see him as someone who is going to really help this team, or do you think his days are numbered? Because I'm not saying his days are numbered, but it doesn't look like he's going to have any mad resurgence. It doesn't look like he's going to come back into the team. Do you like that spell where in his first season where he was looking boss? I don't think he's going to have another one of them, but I want to know what your thoughts are.
I think with the lack of kind of depth per se we have in, like you say, false nines, or maybe just more attacking midfielders, then I think he has got a place, especially with Harvey Elliott being out. And we'll probably touch on it when we go through Palace, but Thiago going down and having that calf spell in the Palace game as well. I think there could be room for him to shine through again, but I feel like he's one of them players who he's not really getting given the time, if that makes sense. Because I actually probably rate him as a player. I think he brings a bit of flair to the game. Like, he plays like he's still young, which it
so
can
do
be.
You think he needs like a? Yeah, no, I get that. Do you think then he needs like a run of games, like really build momentum to get the best out of Oxlade-Chamberlain?
Definitely. I think he needs that chance, and he was getting that chance, like he said at the start when he first joined for us, but then he done his leg. So no player is the same when they come back from a major injury anyway. And then people just kind of seen that as a downfall of Ox. But I think he's a good player. I honestly do.
No, fair enough. And one thing I want to clarify to the viewers, because they're probably thinking I think Oxlade is shit. Absolutely not the case. It's just, you know, it's always tricky going down that route, but his wages is like north of 100,000.
I do understand what you mean, though. Like, what?
Yeah, his wages is north of £100,000 a week, and even though he had that great spell, he's just never been able to build it up since. And I don't think it hurts to try new options, but at the same time, it's not that he. It's just like there's some performances where he looks great, but there's just the odd performance for me where I just think his days might be numbered at Liverpool. But be sure you let us know about that in the comments down below, and also the thoughts about the Norwich game as a whole. A win, a clean sheet, and it's boss. You mentioned the Crystal Palace game. Yeah. Another 3-0 win, another convincing performance, a game that we went to, and you touched on Thiago and our options, basically game by game, slowing down. Right now, Ruby, I think it's definitely safe to say we are in a title race, 100%, you know what I mean? 5 games, 4 wins, 1 goal conceded. We're looking smexy, mate, but Thiago... Thiago went down against Crystal Palace. Harvey Elliott went down against Leeds. So that is now 2 players who would play in our midfield regularly that have now gone down. Does that concern you? And if it starts to be just a little bit, 1 or 2 more key players, do Liverpool stay in that title race?
Well, obviously we've had Bobby out, we've got Harvey out, we've got Thiago out.
Yeah.
We had Trent out. Who else did we have out? That's 4 already.
I mean, Milner was sick yesterday as well, but like that's just the Milner.
That still counts because he was the filler for Trent, wasn't he? So we've got that. That's 5 of key players that we use. So 2 of them are, well, 3 of them even, obviously, with Milner, are main midfield players. So that could be a pocket for Ox to then refill, like we just spoke about. But Thiago going down, it is good that he just stayed down because he's felt it. He's thought something's not right, stayed down. You'd rather the player do that than try and like push through it and obviously make it worse. But still, to me, very worrying because even when I'm watching Thiago, I have no idea where he's going to pass the ball. Not a clue.
It's a joke.
It's a joke. Not imagine playing against him. He looks that way, and I'm like looking over there with the balls down there.
Yeah.
When I was the game, I was doing it, and I would go, "Oh God, the ball's over there."
like he knows what he's going to do about 3 minutes before he does it.
Yeah, definitely. I honestly don't understand how he does it. It's like Ronaldinho back in the day where he'd fake it, but it's like smoother than that.
As a passer, there's not many better in the game.
He does make me laugh though. He does really, really make me
laugh.
I
love him. No, Thiago is everything and more that I want in a midfielder, and it's a shame
he's the one player that'll always get me to win at least one bet because he always gets booked.
Yes, now Thiago making us so, lads, easy. No, I love Thiago with all my heart, to be dead honest, and I think it's a shame that there's been this sort of stigma attached to his time at Liverpool so far that he hasn't done that well. I just have to disagree. I think in terms of the top 4 race, he's one of our key players. I thought at the end of last season, our 2 best players in terms of that top 4 race, was Trent and it was Thiago. I thought them 2 were brilliant towards the dead end of last season and really crucial to the way we played. And now I see Thiago go down. It does worry me, Ruby. It really, really does concern me. And not just Thiago going down, but you've got Harvey Elliott, who was clearly going to be in the first team more often. And it's not a surprise that he's had a little injury. He's playing immense football. He's not fully developed. I mean, there's not a surprise that he's got caught. And it's one of them things. Well, you know what I mean. Like, obviously, I'm closing down the situation, but yeah, a serious injury. Thiago, who also, again, he's an injury-prone player, and then to accommodate them, you've got Naby Keita and Oxlade-Chamberlain, also 2 very injury-prone players, and I think people don't talk about enough. Henderson has his fair share. Like, I can't remember a full season where Henderson has been fully fit. It's only really like
with his feet.
Who, Henderson?
He's got like that plantar fasciitis or something. Which is where it's like, you know, the arch in your foot.
Ruby's diagnosing our footballers here. What do you mean?
No, I swear down. You know the arch in your foot? Like, I think he's got something up with the arch in his foot, like where it's collapsed or something, because footy boots aren't like made to be like sturdy. They're made to be light.
Yeah, you might be right. You might be telling us something new that I don't know.
Watching their foot collapse, which means that the legs turn in and it fucks the knees, because I had it as well.
Oh, fucking hell.
Yeah, it absolutely messes your knees, and that's how you do your ACLs and all that easier.
Dr. Ruby. Dr. Ruby, man. Do you know what I mean? Telling us the knowledge that we all need to know.
Headers in the comments. But
that's actually good information. I didn't know that, seriously. If that's actually true, then fair enough. Do you know what I mean? Because these things have to be taken into consideration. But another thing that has to be taken into consideration, we're in a title race. It's going to get to a point where we're going to need to rely on squad depth a little bit. And again, we've got away with it over the past 3 games. But when you look at Chelsea's squad depth, City's squad depth, etc., you've got to ask the question, can we sustain this level of form with this many changes possibly having to be made? Let us know in the comments down below, people. But that is 3.
I believe that we have got, if it carries on in these main, obviously,
if 1 or 2 more players get injured, you're concerned.
Yeah. And I think, or even if the players we've got now, so the way obviously Thiago, like we just mentioned, obviously Harvey Elliott's out, and let's say Fab or Henderson after sits out and something happens to them, that would, like, for an X amount of time, that would worry me as well. you okay?
Oh shit! Nah, you went off a little bit, so I didn't know if you were carrying on a point. It might be my Wi-Fi, by the way, people, but it might be
Yeah,
Ruby's as well.
it's like buffering. I've got full bars.
Oh, if you've got full bars, then it'll be my Wi-Fi, and I do apologise for that. Nah, my Wi-Fi is absolutely bum, mate. So it was like, it cut out, and I didn't know if it froze, and you were carrying on a point, so I was just like, yeah, I'll let this go out. And then, obviously, you finished your point.
When it freezes, it makes my brain buffer, though, so then I get confused, and then I have to try and...
my head goes mashed, mate. My head goes mashed. Because on my end, it looks like that I'm okay, and you're the one who's buffering.
Listen, right, don't ever use your top again to whatever you've just done with your nose.
Nah, I only went like that. I'm like scratching the outskirts of it because like it like gives me a proper because if I do it raw with my nails it hurts more, so I do it with my top. Yeah, like I'm itching the out of it because I've got a snotty nose.
Because you just blew your nose, it looked like you wiped
your
nose.
I blew my nose, but like I'm like itching, so I'm grabbing it like this and then I'm going like that.
People like in the
that.
Comments, didn't you just
don't come at me. Listen, it's not like I'm going. Do you know what I mean? It's not like I'm just snotting me top up. Well, it's not that, Ruby. So stop trying to out me, you dickhead. Fuck's sake. Fucking hell. You're just a knobhead, aren't you? Proper knob. You're a knobhead, but you're hilarious if you know you know. You're a proper winds-up merchant. I was going to bring up something, but you've made me lose course now, Ruby. Our next game, Brentford, another game that absolutely we should win.
And I cannot flip and wait.
You lucky bastard, I'm so jealous. Yeah, Brentford's going to be a great game. That's going to be a great away day as well, to be fair. What's your thoughts about that one?
I think teams like that, it's like watching footy from years ago.
Yeah.
Because it's a bit rougher. There's snide little like kicks in that when people haven't got the ball. There's like the head-to-head stuff. Like it's like old school footy. Like what? I mean, I know I'm only like 2-3 years older than you, but it's like what we used to watch when we were younger. Do you know what I mean? Like the Mascherano days and all that.
Oh, Mascherano, man. Bringing up a legend right there. He's a
That's
fucking
weird. Like, just games like that just remind me of them times, just purely because they are allowed to be more physical. And I think that is such a good thing in football, and it makes the game so much more entertaining and competitive.
Yeah, it just adds a little bit of spice to the game. Do you know what I mean? When it's like kicking off a little bit.
Will I get away with this? Because he's just got away with that, and then the ref might give one and not the other, and then there's murder. Like, oh, it's just boss. It's such a
that's gonna be such a good game to go to. That away day. Brentford, listen, I'm not worried about them, and maybe I should be. Which?
Didn't they win the other day?
Yeah. They beat Wolves, so that was actually a very good win for them against Wolves, because Wolves have had a good start. No, Brentford have started solid. They beat Arsenal on the opening day. On top of that, they've really built up a few decent performances. Yeah, that's one of them, you know what I mean? You're one of them. Jason will not be happy, but what's it called? No, I don't fear Brentford. I look at Brentford the way I've looked at all of our other... I look at Brentford the way I look at our other teams like that we played so far, and I just think you should beat them. You should get 3 points. You should beat them convincingly, and you should probably get a clean sheet. They've got Ivan Toney. They've got Mbuemo, who's like one of their wingers, top class player. They've got great fans. We're away from home, of course, as well, so that goes in their favour.
Haven't they got a new stadium?
They might do. I don't know, but they don't. This is their first time in the Premier League, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know how many games we've played against them. It's probably not that many. But I'm expecting us to win, and I'm expecting us to do it convincingly. These are the games.
So excited!
These are the games where if you don't win them, then the title race just starts to look a little bit more bleaker and bleaker. And you need to make sure that you get the points in these games. While Chelsea is still on fire, while Man City is still on fire, we've got to get the job done, man. Ruby, I want to ask for a score prediction. How do you see that game going, and what score do you think it's going to be?
I'm just going to go all out and say 4-0.
Wing it, girl. Wing it. Yeah. Say 5. Say 5, I dare you. I dare you. Say 5. Why not? Why not? I dare you.
Score prediction?
Fuck it, I'm going to say 6-0.
6?
Why not? Why not? It's going to be our biggest win of the season. You're here to hear first on the Kop TV. You're here to hear first on the Kop TV. If you wanna make the bets, don't do it on me. I never suggest a bet on me. Nah, mate. I obviously 6-0 is ambitious, but I do think we'll win, and I do think we'll do it convincingly.
Yeah.
And
anyone who is doing a bet, I do think it'll be 3+ goals.
18 or over. 18 or over. Yeah. But yeah, I'm going to make sure that you leave your score predictions in the comments down below. I want to make sure that I've covered absolutely everything and more. Alex is well better than this.
A little bit now.
It's a little. I mean, what did you think, Ruby? If you want to touch on it, by all means, absolutely go for it.
I just thought the atmosphere was amazing.
Amazing.
Like,
and then
really good.
A proper European night of footy.
Yeah. Everyone was all gloomy in that inside the stadium at half time because obviously they just came back out of nowhere.
Yeah.
They just found our pocket from when we're attacking and just countered and got us twice.
In like 2 minutes. It's like they never done nothing the whole game, and then just 2 minutes. It was like, give me 2 minutes and see what I can do.
That's tactics though, innit? That's finding the errors in a team, and he did that brilliantly, I'll have to say.
2 good goals.
At the same time, when everyone was all upset, my hands look so weird. Anyway, at half time when everyone was all gloomy, I was like, nah, like we've got this, like
we've got it.
Like Istanbul, like we're coming back, like it's sound, and we actually did. But I think everyone I've spoke to, like friends who were at the game, everybody had the same feeling that like we were going to win anyway. Which is obviously such a great feeling at half time when you're losing. Yeah,
no, 100%. And listen, Origi started that game as well as the Norwich game. And also, I feel like we need to talk about Origi more.
He got for that game.
He has a goal every 123 minutes for Liverpool. So when you include all of his minutes and whatnot, and then his goals, that's a very, very solid record for our backup striker. And even Klopp has gave him some high praise recently. Let us know in the comments down below, people, because Origi's in a weird one. Do you think we should give Origi more chances? Because every time he gets one, he seems to grab it with both hands and just absolutely relish the opportunity. People have this misconception that he's lazy. I have to disagree. I think the job that he does, he might not run as much as other people, but we run a lot as a team. His job's to score goals. If he's starting as a backup striker, you better score goals. And listen, he's doing that and more. Even got an assist against Norwich as well, and he got an assist against AC Milan. He's really taken the opportunity, and you never know. Origi just might have some unfinished business at Liverpool Football Club. Listen, it's been a great week and a half, whatever you want to call it. We've beat AC Milan, Crystal Palace, and Norwich. I was going to say all clean sheets, but obviously AC Milan, we never got one.
Yeah, all different setups,
all different teams, and that's the thing that most impresses me, because even though you should beat them opposition, anything can happen when you rotate a team, and when we've rotated, it's paid off in the end. So, do you know what? Actually, I'm going to ask you one more question before we round up. What do you see us achieving this season? So obviously, I'm assuming you're going to think that we're going to stay in the title race. Don't know if you're going to think we're going to win the league, but the League Cup, the FA Cup, the Champions League. Do you think we can leave this season with more than one trophy?
I think we have the potential of leaving with 2, but I think in terms of rotation that we keep talking about, 4 games such as the Norwich, the Brentford, if there is a little niggle or a little thing going on with the player that is a key player for games such as the AC Milan games or the Premier League, just the more important games, I think it's important to be able to use that rotation to put on the likes of Curtis and Naby, let them get the minutes in, because they're the backup players, and obviously you'd rather them play the less important games because they are obviously still top class players. So if we continue with the rotation, I've seen a thing of Tielemans maybe coming to us.
Oh, I doubt it. He cost a lot of money.
I don't know how true that is.
Nah, I don't think he'd be coming to us, to be dead honest. I'd rather see someone like Bellingham come as well. But I like Tielemans, good player.
Yeah, I don't really know why, but that come up on my Twitter.
Bullshit rumours, my friend. Yeah, bullshit rumours. Bullshit rumours. They're always happening. Ruby, are you gone or am I gone?
I think.
Nah, you're back. You're back. Well, anyway, I think we could.
I think you need
Yeah.
ethnic people.
I'll have to sort something out. People, if my Wi-Fi has kept bugging up, then I'm so sorry. But still smash a like, though, and subscribe to the Kop TV if you haven't already. I've been your boy, James. This has been your girl, Ruby. Been a great show. All that business. Be sure to follow us on the show, the socials. Yeah. And, yeah, thank you for tuning in, man. Be sure to smash like, subscribe, and I will see you all later. Peace.
I don't know what you
Whoa. Just before you go,
don't forget, give us a like, drop us a comment, and subscribe to the Kop TV.
the voice of football's most famous stand.